Your memoir. I do want to talk about your memoir. Very personal.
Yeah.
And what were the biggest challenges of like how much do you want to expose of yourself, or did you just, I'm just putting everything out there, no holding back?
Yeah, so my memoir is called Everything I Learned. I learned in a Chinese restaurant, and it's about growing up in Detroit in the 80s. Very tough time for the city. Auto industry struggling, crack cocaine, AIDS. I knew 5 people murdered by the time I was 18, so it was a really tough time period. In terms of deciding what to include and what not to include, I relied on my editor a lot for that because, when you're telling your own personal story, you don't really necessarily know what that arc is, right? And so it was surprising to me that there were some stories that I thought would definitely make it into the final, but she didn't think it worked. But I was okay with that because I trusted her in terms of her ability to help me tell my story.
What was the most difficult part of writing the memoir?
The most difficult part, probably finding an agent, actually. I mean, the writing part is just fun. I mean, because you get to go down memory lane, and even the difficult parts sometimes are necessary to go through, right? Like to sort of reflect when you're older. But yeah, the publishing side, I think, is the most difficult and the most challenging, I think.
I'd like to touch on that. It's very interesting you say that. So, since obviously you're going back memory lane, did you feel like you learned a lot when you think about, ooh, I didn't realize this at the time, or when I was younger. Now, I should have known that. Did it actually help you mature now, even today?
Yeah, I mean, the way I sort of coped with growing up in the inner city of Detroit was to just move on, right? That's the best strategy, to just sort of like forget all the troubles, right? And I think as a human being, it's okay to sort of forget things. But I think when you're writing a memoir, it's actually the exact opposite. You actually have to pick at those scabs. And so it was hard for me because, I was reliving moments which I thought I'd moved on from, that I thought, like, I don't need to address this. And maybe I don't need to as a human being. Like, I can get on with my life. But if you're writing a book where people are hoping to read and learn something from you, they're going to expect to get into those darker moments, right? And those more troublesome moments, because I feel like that's what they're hoping to learn from. And so if you do want to write a book, a memoir that you're trying to sell to a big publisher, yeah, you're going to have to be willing to open up a bit more.